Hello everyone and welcome to this video, and today I'm going to be doing a vinyl update video just showing some records I've purchased over the last couple of months. So yeah, a fairly sizable pile, this video probably will take a while, so I will just get right stuck into it with a really exciting thing firstly, which is a piece of VCLT from the wonderful Richard McCook. So I've we've done like a wee exchange of a couple of items. So yes, I'm going to be doing a live unboxing of a parcel he sent to me here. So yeah, I'll just crack it open now, and yeah, we'll see what he sent. So yeah, we'll just get this open. Looks like he's packaged us up really nicely, it has to be said. Very nicely tucked in here. I'm not sure what to expect. I think he said there's a couple of things which I think I know what they might be, but we'll have to just see what he said. So we've firstly got a lovely note here, like a lovely handwritten note, which is really nice, from him, which is very nice. And then in here we have got a few 7-inch singles here. So I'll just quickly show what these are. So we've got, I'll just pop that down there, that's the box. So we've got a Smith's one, which is for Ask here. Now I've not got any Smith's 7-inch singles. I think I might have one or two, but certainly not many. But this is Ask here, 7-inch. This is Shoplifters of the World Unite. Very nice to get that one. And we've got a Morrissey one here, which is Hold On To Your Friends. Shows it's a numbered 7-inch there, so that's really nice there. And then a few extra ones. I say a few extra ones, quite a few ones here. So I'll just quickly run through these. So we've got a Blondie one, Dreaming, fantastic song. We've got this one, which is by Adam and the Ants, called Car Trouble, I think. I was just struggling to get there. Not massive Adam and the Ants fan, but yeah, I think I've got maybe one of their other singles, what someone had sent to me, which is quite nice. Got this one here, which is a Dave Edmunds one, which is, again, I can't make out the title of that one, but it says 1979, so perhaps this is, I'm not sure if this may be like a rock pile single or from that kind of era, which is very nice. This one is, I love this song, Cracking Up by Nick Lowe. A great song, 1979, yeah, one of my favourites, from Nick Lowe there. This one is another Nick Lowe one, American Squirm, which is backed with his version of What's So Funny About Peace, Love and Understanding, or rather the original version of that song, because he of course wrote it, although Elvis Costello had the bigger hit. And then another Nick Lowe one by the look of it, which is, this seems like a double, or it seems like quite a bulky one, this. It's got, I'm not sure if it's his live stuff perhaps. It says Nick Lowe and his Noise to Go on tour, so perhaps this is like a live single. And it opens up like so, really nicely packaged. Yeah, Richard was very generous in sending these. So yeah, there's that one. We've got Dave Edmunds one here, which is Baby I Do Love You, Do Ra Ron Ron, and a few other songs on there as well. Again, from the same kind of era, I think 1980 this one says on it. This is another Nick Lowe one. It's on the Stiff label, this. I can't make out what song it is. I think there's a couple of tracks on here, but really nice to get this in the original kind of the Stiff Records label there. This one is by Transvision Vamp. Again, I've heard of them, but I don't think I've heard of any of. I couldn't tell you what the music sounds like. This says 1988 on the back, so I'll let Rich know what I think of that one. And then you've got a single here by Toya, Bird in Flight and Tribal Look. Again, not an artist I'm too familiar with, but very generous of Richard to send all those over. So yeah, thank you very much, Richard, for sending those. Okay, so now into the vinyl update video here. I'll firstly show a couple of things I got for Christmas, which I don't believe I've shown on the channel yet. It feels like ages ago, but yeah, it has been a wee while since I've done one of these. So, I got the Revolver box set. I won't spend all day showing this, but yeah, really enjoyed this box. This is the first of the Beatles box sets I've actually got on vinyl. I've not actually got any of them on CD actually yet, come to think of it, but I really enjoyed this one here. Again, did I need another copy of Revolver? No, but it's my favourite album of all time, probably, and it's great just to get the book, and some of the outtakes on here are just absolutely fascinating. So yeah, really nice box set here of Revolver. And this was a gift from my girlfriend. It is a Tom Petty live album, like a new release. This is live at the Fillmore. This is a triple LP set, collects live concerts from the what they played over a couple of shows. I got I think it was about like a month's residency they had like at the Fillmore, and a lot of songs here. That this is a triple vinyl, but this was also released as a something like a 7 or 8 LP set. Like again, like with just tons of different songs because they played essentially like a different set list like every night. These would be fantastic shows to have gone to. And then lovely gatefold here. Really nice packaging and a really great live album. I've listened to this all the way through and yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Next songs now are from an online purchase. So these were all by a band who I've been really getting into the past couple of months. I reviewed their debut album and absolutely loved it. So I was very keen to get like their other releases, and I was just so happened to find that one seller online selling like all 3 of like their following albums. So yeah, very lucky to get these. So it's the Lilac Time. This is their second album, Paradise Circus. A really great album, another great record, 1989 this one came out here. Slightly developing their sound, but still got that kind of Americana kind of... This is maybe a bit more Americana than like their first, but really great though. Really solid album here. And this album is... This next one is incredible. It is called And Love for All, and this was a bit of a change in direction. So it was like a kind of psychedelic pop album. This partly produced by Andy Partridge from XTC, which is like a kind of like a winning mark again, like my book there, and it's almost like this is a kind of spiritual successor or kind of accompaniment to say like Oranges and Lemons by XTC. Very kind of similar sound and similar kind of feel like atmosphere off like the album. So like if like you're like a fan of like XTC or maybe like or like Andy Partridge, just kind of classic songwriting, I'd say maybe this is the one to try. I think this is a really great album. And then they changed record labels and released this album on Creation Records. This is slightly rarer and hard to find. It is the album Astronauts, came out in 1991 here, and this was their last album for quite a few years. Not quite as good as like the others, I would say. Maybe don't try this one first, but it's still a solid album here though. Astronauts by the Lilac Time. And then also within that order, there was a couple of 12-inch singles included. So I got And Love for All. This was the the lead single from the And Love for All album. A great song, very Beatlesy, very kind of XTC kind of vibe to it. A really infectious song there. And then this one is Dreaming, which is the single from that the last album, Astronauts. Again, very much a kind of change in direction, for them. Slightly more experimental sound to this. Another online purchase here. This is an album by Crowded House, which is Together Alone. I was quite keen to get some more Crowded House albums, and this one was slightly harder to find, but I managed to get a pretty good deal on it, in an eBay auction. This is a original pressing of it. I don't think it's a UK one. I think it must be from Europe. But this is a good album. I certainly wouldn't say I like it as much as the 2 I already have, which is the debut and Temple of Low Men, but there's still some great tracks here. My favourite probably being Locked Out. That's one of my all-time favourite Crowded House songs. All round a pretty solid album here. Next couple from a shop in just outside of Edinburgh, or within Edinburgh, but kind of not right in the city centre, called Almond River Records. It's fairly new. I've been in there a couple of times, and I do come out with some good things. I think their prices are really good, but it is kind of just I guess a little bit of luck of the draw, what you find on the day. But luckily this time I went, there was some really good stuff. So I got this XTC item. This is Go To Plus. Now this is something I didn't have already. This was a kind of EP, what sort of came with the Go To album, and this is essentially there's 5 tracks here, but they're all kind of these kind of dub remixes, what Andy Partridge was really into around this time. it's not any good, to be honest. It's not anything I would ever listen to be honest. But being such an XTC nut, I was kind of like, I seen this, I was like, well, I don't have it, I guess I've got to get it. So that's, yeah, go to plus. This record I've been looking for a little while now. It's by The Church. It is called Remote Luxury. So this was I think this was a compilation of a few singles they released in like around 1983, 1984 sort of time. But this is a later reissue of this from the later 80s. But it's still very nice to get it. Again, not something you see like every day. Okay, and then last one up from the Almond River Records. Perhaps a slightly unexpected purchase for me, but an album by band called Cocteau Twins. Now, like my good friend James Lodman is a massive fan of these, and I kind of seen this. It's an original pressing of their album Treasure, so I kind of thought, well, I guess I'd maybe got to try this. Like, again, it's not every day you see like their stuff like around, like, so I thought, like I would give this a try, and I rather liked it. I mean, it's certainly it's different. It's very ethereal, you know. You can't. It's like vocals very different to. Very kind of difficult like to make out, but just a really atmospheric album, and very much like kind of takes you on like a bit of on a bit of like a journey, this one here. So Treasure, Cocteau Twins. This one came out in 1984 I think, or 83, and it's on the 4AD label. Okay, next couple up now are from a market just outside my flat, literally about 5 minutes walk away from me. It comes to town like every couple of weeks, and there is a guy who has a record stall, and again, this is hit and miss. Sometimes you get some good stuff, sometimes he's got nothing, but this time he had some really good stuff. So I got this album, which is an REM album, Document here, trying to collect as many REM albums as I can find, preferring nice original pressings of them, such as this one here. This one came out 1987 here. I don't think I've played this one yet. I've got a lot of catching up to do with like these like records, but yeah, really from the kind of like almost like the peak of like their powers, like a little bit, or like rather maybe just before like their peak commercial success. But I think certainly like amongst a lot of fans, I think they would consider this to be like their peak period. Okay, then I also got this Paul McCartney album, which again I didn't need to get, but it was definitely a bit of like an impulse purchase. But it's a copy of Egypt Station here, but this is the Explorers edition, it's called. So this is a 3LP version of it, which has a extra disc basically full of bonus tracks, which didn't come out on the original album. So yeah, I was kind of, again, the McCartney completist in me thought I had to get this, but there are some pretty decent bonus tracks on here. I really like the songs like Getting Started, Frank Sinatra's Party's Grown on Me, and 62nd Street's alright. It's a bit long, but it's decent, and then there's some live tracks as well. So again, did I need this? No, but again, a nice purchase though, from like the little market. And this was quite like an unexpected one. It is another album by the Lilac Time. It's called Return to Us, and this is quite a recent album of theirs. Obviously, like the cover art here, kind of paying homage a bit to like their debut album. But this came out in 2019. This one here, and this is really good. Again, it's not as strong as like their earlier work, but it is a good record though, and I'm definitely eager to start kind of like almost get complete on them, as complete as I can. And this one, is a pretty decent album on a nice purple vinyl as well. Okay, next couple up now from a shop in Dunbar called Green Cat Records. Again, always do pretty well in here, like whenever I go. So I got a couple of singles to start with. So I got an Aztec Camera one. This is Walk Out to Winter here. A great wee song here from their debut album, Highland Hard Rain. And then I got a Paul McCartney one, which is The World Tonight. This is a picture disc single from the Flaming Pie album here. Very nice, again, just one I was missing. Now, I recently also reviewed a album by China Crisis, Flaunt Me Imperfection. So I was on a bit of a China Crisis kick, and I was lucky enough to see a couple of their 12-inch singles in this shop. So I thought that I would grab them, so I actually ended up getting them all. So I got this one, Blackman Ray, which is from that album, Flaunt Me Imperfection. Really good song. Yeah, not one of my favourites from the album, but a good song here though. From that album. album. This one is Working with Fire and Steel, which is a great track. This is probably one of my favourite China Crisis songs. Just so much energy in this one here. It is maybe a bit synth heavy, a bit cheesy, but really good though. Really great song there. Working with Fire and Steel. And then this one is one I didn't really know much about, but it turns out this is a non-album single released, I think, between their first and second albums. It's called Scream Down at Me here. Again, I've not got around to playing this, so I can't tell you if I like or dislike this song yet. But it's an interesting one to find here though. Not one I even knew about before I picked it up. And then this is not something you see every day. It's a Paul Weller 12-inch single from quite late on in his career. I think this must have been among the last 12-inch singles he released. This is for the song He's the Keeper from the album Heliocentrics. This came out in the year 2000. It's not in pristine condition. There's a few scuffs and that on the back of it there, but I mean again I've never seen this before, so I thought that I would jump on it being such the big Paul Weller fan that I am. And then I got this album, which is what I've been, I don't say putting off getting, but I've never heard good things about it, and I must say I didn't think much of the album when I got round to playing it. It is The Hunter by Blondie. So this was their final album, off their original run. I think they did reunite in the 90s at some point and made some further releases. But yeah, this was the last of their kind of classic run of albums. But it was a bit of a flop, I think, and it certainly wasn't. It certainly didn't produce any major hit singles that they would become known for. Just a slightly sour note to end their original run of albums on. Okay, next up now is a kind of British indie album from the kind of the mid-80s. It's by a band called The Brilliant Corners. This is called Everything I Ever Wanted. Now this is, I think, a kind of compilation of some early singles and whatnot of them. Indie pop band, I think from Bristol. But really good though. A bit of I guess a bit run-of-the-mill indie from the kind of the 80s, very Smiths-like, but you've also got a bit of brass on here as well, which gives the songs a slightly kind of different and slightly unique flavour for the time. A bit reminds me a bit of Tidrup Explodes in places, Brilliant Corners here from 1988, I think this one came out. Next up's quite a fun, unique item here, which again I didn't even know existed, to be honest. So it's a Joe Jackson single. This is One More Time. Great song, the opening track from the debut Look Sharp here. But this is a 10-inch single, which I didn't even know that they were even making these in the kind of the late 70s. But yeah, nice wee 10-inch here, and it's also on a white vinyl as well, which is really nice. You've got a B-side called Don't Ask Me, which is a non-album track. And really nice to get this single. Nice picture of Joe and the band on the back of it. Okay, and then I also got a couple of albums by a band, American band, called Game Theory. So I got one of their albums a couple of months back, really liked it. So I bought their following two as well from about the only shop I think in the whole UK what was selling them. So I got Lolita Nation here. This was maybe their most popular album. It's a double album this, but really good though, very, very influential on the likes of R.E.M., but kind of them themselves inspired by kind of Big Star and kind of power pop, music and that. But yeah, really good though here, American kind of West Coast. They were slightly part of the Paisley Underground, but not exactly kind of thing. They weren't quite as they weren't quite trying to imitate the kind of psychedelic bands like a lot of the kind of Paisley Underground acts were. They were more kind of a slightly more experimental band, a lot of them. But yeah, really good though. So this is Lolita Nation here from 1987, and this was their final album. I think came out in 1989 originally, but this is a reissue of it. It is called Two Steps from the Middle Ages. This was really great, probably a bit more accessible, this album. So I think this is one that I would maybe try first, if you're interested. So this is Game theory, and these reissues are lovely. They're on coloured vinyl, and they come with great like information booklets, which is really great for like a band who, like I really know next to nothing about. So yeah, nice to get these two reissues. Okay, and now we've got a couple of finds from a recent trip I made to Rome, with my girlfriend. So we got a couple of so I managed to go to a couple of record shops while I was there, and yeah, again came back with a pretty full suitcase. I'll just go through like what some of those were. So I got this Paul McCartney single here. Again, I could have they had lots of Beatles, kind of lovely Beatles picture sleeves and that, but unfortunately they're all a bit pricey, so I didn't get any. But I did get this, which I think was a Europe only single. It is The Long and Winding Road. This was in the recent sort of like McCartney 7-inch singles box, which is one I'd never, which is one of the singles from it that I'd never seen before. But I decided to kind of like, rather than get that, I'll just kind of fill in the gaps like what I have like from that. So this is one of them. It's a live recording from the Tripping the Light Fantastic album, backed with a live version of Sea Moon on the B-side. And then I got this, which is another McCartney item, which I didn't even know existed. I thought this was just a 7-inch only single, but like, as it turns out, this was exclusively released like as a 12-inch in Italy. So I was very lucky to get it. It's a Hope of Deliverance here, like on like a 12-inch. So yeah, I mean, I never knew this even existed. So yeah, got a great song from the Off the Ground album, and this is also, I believe, the only place that the song Kicked Around No More was released on vinyl, which is a great song, and I think easily should have been on the Off the Ground album. Like, in fact, I'd say that Long Leather Coat as well, a really great rocker, again, should have been on Off the Ground. Like, there's some great B-sides from that album, kind of like floating about, which would be great to get like a nice reissue off that. So if you're watching like MPL, I think like the fans are quite eager for that. But yeah, great to get this one here. Again, not something I have ever seen before. Okay, then also got this one here, which is a David Byrne album. This is called Ray Mono, and yeah, this was, I think, maybe one of his first solo releases. Came out in 1991, I want to say, certainly early 90s, or maybe like even like late 80s, to be honest. But I think this is a kind of slightly more world music kind of like influenced album, very kind of slightly different from the Talking Heads, but I suppose in some ways it's a kind of similar direction to where they were going on the Naked album, like their last release. But yeah, nice to get this one here though. Again, not an album I've ever seen before. And just noticed, like, on the back there, produced by Steve Lillywhite, who's one of my favourite producers, worked with like all sorts of people like throughout the years. So yeah, you never know, I might really, really enjoy this album. Okay, then I got a 12-inch single now by The Church here. So again, not something I see like every day, like to like be honest like with you here. This is the song Tantalised, which is from their album called Heyday from 1985. And yeah, this is a great song. And again, I think you've got two non-album B-sides there, like on the B-side. A little bit of ring wear, but doesn't really matter. Again, it's not something I've ever seen before. Okay, next one up now is a Joe Jackson album. Now, I thought I was complete like on Joe Jackson, like until I seen this, and then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he made that album. So this is a soundtrack to a film called Mike's Murder, which is featuring original music by Joe Jackson, and there he is like on the B-side. So this came out, I think, straight after the Night and Day album, 1983. This was released, and I'm not really sure what to expect from this. I don't think there'll be any vocals on here. I would imagine it's all instrumental, but it would be nice if there's some vocals. It would be nice if these are actual songs, but like, I'm expecting something a little bit more kind of like soundtracky, basically. But yeah, they're like a big Joe Jackson fan, and this was relatively cheap as well, so I thought that I would pick that one up. Okay, this one was a bit of a blind buy, I have to be honest. It's a band who I know the name, but I couldn't really place like their songs. I wouldn't really know what style they were in, but like I looked them up like when I see this, and it said Sophistipop, and I thought, well, that's kind of Prefab Sprout kind of fit into that kind of genre, so I thought that I would give this one a go. It's by a band called the Blow Monkeys, but this is a kind of greatest hits collection. It's called Choices, the singles collection. So I thought if there's any place to kind of start with a band, it probably is best to start with a kind of singles singles collection, and again, it's not something I've ever seen like in like the UK before. Even though like I've been aware, I know the name. I mean, maybe my uncle maybe has one or two of their albums kicking about like in like his collection. It's maybe a slightly subconscious thing, I'm not sure, but like yeah, nice to get this one. Not played it yet, but hopefully like I will enjoy it. And you never know, maybe the next update, like I'll have a pile of their albums. Okay, next up's quite an interesting one here. It is by a guy called Stephen Tintin Duffy. Now, this was the same guy who formed the Lilac Time like a couple of years later, but this was his kind of solo project before that. And like arguably, like he was a lot more successful, like with like this solo project than the Lilac Time like ever was. He had a couple of like minor hits like in like the 80s, particularly like with the songs "Kiss Me," which is on this album, and I think "Icing on the Cake" was also a single like as well. It's a bit more I don't say dancey, this album, but it's not exactly my taste. Like, but I thought, considering like I'm such a big Lilac Time fan, I thought that I would try and give his solo stuff a bit of a chance. So yes, this is Stephen Tintin Duffy with the Ups and Downs, I think from 1985 on Virgin. Okay, next up now is quite an interesting find. It was like yeah, one I just had to kind of like take like a second look at, like to like be honest with you. It's a Style Council bootleg called Introducing the Style Council and Altered States. And yeah, I looked at this, I'm like, what the hell is that? I mean, it's really funny artwork for it, like, you know, but this is a bootleg recording of them performing live in Rome in 1984, so quite a nice one to find in Rome. And yeah, I'm not sure like what the sound quality like is on this, not played it yet, but this is a kind of like proper kind of bootleg, you know, like no labels on it, like just like yeah, very cheaply done, but I'm hoping it sounds good, because like yeah, like these early Style Council concerts like were like a lot of fun. Like they do a great set on here, so you've got all the kind of hits like up to this point, so like May Ever Changing Moods is on here, You're the Best Thing, Long Hot Summer, Shout to the Top, so it's got all the kind of like the major hits like on here, as well as some of like their album tracks and a few songs which I'm not particularly familiar with, which I think might just be like live jams or kind of like yeah, like maybe like cover songs and like whatnot. But yeah, really weird artwork though, and like but yeah, hoping that this one like will like sound the business. Okay, and now a couple of other ones from another shop in like Rome. So I got this one here, which is by the Colour Field. So we sadly lost Terry Hall back in December, and yeah, this was an album which I didn't have, I'd never seen before. It's not particularly rare, like or like expensive, but I just never come across it. It's the second Colourfield album called Deception from 1987. Now this, I mean, I must admit, like, is nowhere near as good as Virgins and Philistines, but it's still a good album, and I thought, yeah, like, got to get this one, been kind of looking for it, like, for like a good, like, wee while, but certainly for me, like, the singles, like, on here, Running Away and She, like, I'm not particularly fond of, like, but I'm hoping that there might be some, like, sort of, like, hidden gems contained within the album. The next one now is by Deacon Blue. It is the album Fellow Hoodlums, and like yeah, this one is their third album from 1991 here. Again, not played this yet, so I can't really say whether I like it or not. Like, but it's a nice copy of it though. It comes with like the picture sleeve and also a nice little booklet as well with all of the lyrics there. So I thought, yeah, for that, like considering like condition and it being kind of like yeah, fully complete, thought I would have to get that one. This one's by an Australian band called The Chills. Not a record I've ever seen before by them. It's called Brave Worlds, this one here. So this was, I think, their first proper kind of full-length album. Like, I've got like they made a kind of compilation called Kaleidoscope World before this, which collected a lot of like their early singles, but this one is a proper full-length album. Came out 1987. Lovely artwork on it. I think it's really really good artwork, but really good artwork, but almost looks a bit more kind of like late 70s kind of new wave than like kind of like late 80s like to it. Again, not played this one yet, but hopefully I really like it, because I really liked the following album, Submarine Bells. I think that's a great record, so I'm hoping that's like kind of similar. And then final one from Rome, I got Smith's 12-inch single for a really reasonable €15. So this is for Sheila Takes a Bow and it's backed with Is It Really So Strange. Again, this is one of the only places you can get that song on vinyl, so kind of like a John Peel session only song. Really great track. And then Sweet and Tender Hooligan as well. Again, that's not one of my favourites, but yeah, like She Takes About, a great song there, like non-album single by the Smiths. Okay, just to finish up now, we've got a couple of reissues and kind of like newer albums like which like I've purchased. So first one is a solo album by one of the members of Field Music. This is See From Shore, which was released by David Brewis under the name School of Language. This came out a couple of years back, but I'd seen and for some reason I got like an email notification saying that they'd found more copies of these like lying around again, like a warehouse somewhere. So like I decided to pounce on it. An album from 2008 here, so like yeah, like surprised this isn't more difficult to get than it is. Again, not played it yet, but I am a big Field Music fan, so hoping that solo they're also he's also able to pull out the goods. And then I got a couple of Elvis Costello reissues. So this one is a recent one called All This Useless Beauty, what came out. This is on gold vinyl, music on vinyl. From 1996 this one originally came out, and I think the kind of concept behind this album was to kind of collect songs that Costello had written for or with other artists, and record them with the Attractions. So this was, I think, the last album he released as Elvis Costello and the Attractions. They kind of he wouldn't work with the members. So I think Bruce Thomas left him at this point, although he does still continue to work, of course, with Steve Naive and Pete Thomas, but not a record I was particularly fond of. I thought the first side was a little bit slow and drowsy, but there was a couple of decent tracks on the second side. I think I quite liked It's Starting to Come to Me and You Bowed Down were pretty good songs, I think. So yeah, slightly mixed album here. But then at the same time as that, I thought that I would take a pounce on this album here, which is a record which I think is one of my favourite Elvis Costello albums. It's Brutal Youth here. This one is from 1994 here, and this is great. A really great record. It's just a return to his kind of... I don't think he's really rocked this hard since... I don't know, probably since Armed Forces or this year's Model kind of thing. He's got that kind of spite and kind of bite to the songwriting again. So yeah, a really great record here, and yeah, easily one of my favourite Elvis Costello albums from 1994. Next up now is another reissue by a band called the Chameleons, kind of Manchester kind of band from the kind of the early 80s. This one is called Strange Times here. Record again I've been looking for a little while now, now on an original pressing, but never come across it. So when this was reissued, I was very glad to buy it, but then it kept getting delayed, but then it finally arrived, and it's a lovely pressing of it. It's got a lovely gatefold to it. So just quickly show here. Yeah, nice picture off the band. You're never too sure what they look like, but then you've got that there, and then it's a double vinyl this. So you've got, I think, the main album on one side, and then kind of bonus tracks, a couple of bonus tracks on the other, and it's on a lovely kind of smoky kind of vinyl there, which is really nice. So yeah, that is Strange Times by the Chameleons. Okay, a couple of records now by Scottish band Trash Can Sinatra. A couple of reissues, again, fairly recent reissues. So this is their third album called A Happy Pockets here from 1996. This, again, just a nice reissue of it. Very difficult to get original pressing of it, and it's on a lovely double pink vinyl. And at the same time as that, I also took a chance on a more recent one of their albums. This is called In the Music here. This is originally released in 2009, but this is the first time it has been pressed onto vinyl. This one was good, again, not quite as good as some of their earlier work, but a solid record here though. And I believe they might be releasing a new album this year, or they certainly released something last year, a single, so perhaps we might be getting a new the Trash Cans and Orchards album, which is quite exciting. But yeah, a pretty good record here though from 2009. And then final one for this video, I got another reissue by a band called The Ocean Blue, like an American kind of jangle pop band from the kind of like the early 90s. This is Beneath the Rhythm and Sound, which is a great album. Like yeah, just a really solid record, like all the way through. And like yeah, really like a really like underappreciated band here. This one's a reissue of it on orange vinyl. Okay, so that's become to the end of this vinyl update video. So I hope you have enjoyed. Again, thanks to Richard for sending like those lovely singles like at the start. And yeah, if you've got any requests for like any future reviews or videos, please do leave them down below in the comments. And I will see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.